Alright guys, Revolve Rostler here, and this is going to be my WWE Summerslam 2016 predictions. Let's get right into this card. I'm excited for it. It's on Sunday night, obviously. I'm going to stay up and then I'm going to go to the hospital 4 hours later. I am going to die on Monday morning, but then I'm going to get that review up just for you because I know you enjoy it. So let's get straight into this SummerSlam card. We have the first match on the pre-show will be Cesaro versus Sheamus in the first of the best of 7 series. Now this matchup to me is very, very predictable. Sheamus should win. Sheamus has lost his last 3 television matches, 2 of which were to Cesaro. So basically this series should already be 2 matches in, and Cesaro, the babyface, should be 2-0 up. Now, best of 7 series are kind of weird to predict because you need the heel to basically dominate. Normally, when I look at these series, it's like the face wins the first one, the heel wins the next 2 or 3 or whatever, and then the face pulls back at the end. That's how Benoit did it, I believe. That's how John Cena did it in the best of 5 series. So Cesaro here, going off that, should win. But Sheamus has lost so much that we really need to build him back up. You can have him win cheating if you want. He can have the tights. He can have the ring post. Whatever. But Sheamus needs to win here. I love Cesaro to bits, but he can't beat Sheamus here. So, Sheamus to beat Cesaro in the first match of the best of 7 series. Moving on, we have the 6-women's matchup, or should I say the handicap matchup at the moment, which is how it's advertised, which will be Naomi, Becky Lynch and Carmella against the team of Natalya and Alexa Bliss, whose partner, of course, would have been Eva Marie, who has been suspended for violation of the wellness policy, which means that is 3 suspensions in 2 days, with Paige and Del Rio being suspended a day prior to Eva being suspended. So Eva's suspension raises eyebrows, obviously. It's shocking that she got suspended because we know how much the company think of her. They want her to be the face of the women's division on SmackDown because she's, hot, basically. And it was really, really shocking to obviously see her suspended. However, the thought is that it could be a work, and if it is a work, it's a fantastically well done work because it keeps her out of a match, it keeps her off TV for a while, for 30 days at least, which means she doesn't have to compete at Backlash either. So it's a fairly decent idea. However, I don't think this women's match will go down as a handicap. I think in the end, maybe there will be an addition to the Alexa Bliss Natalya team, and the thought is Nikki Bella. Now, Nikki Bella has been cleared to compete again, and she hasn't got a brand yet. John Cena's on SmackDown, so they can be together and be happily ever after on SmackDown. So it only makes sense for her to be on SmackDown and join this team. Another return could be Emma, but I don't know how if she's cleared to compete yet. But I think that my prediction basically will be if it stays a handicap matchup, there's no way the heels win. Which it shouldn't stay a handicap matchup because the heels in a handicap matchup should never ever be down against faces. Faces should always be the lesser team in terms of participant number. And if it does do that, the faces will win. If the heels get a return of Nikki Bella or Emma, for example, then they will win, and Nikki Bella will probably, or Emma, will probably get the fall. So that is my prediction for that matchup. Screw it, I'll just say heels will win. Skip the semantic stuff at the beginning. Then we move on to the Enzo and Cass. There you go, I got it in the end. Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy taking on Jericho, Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. This is a matchup I'm looking forward to. However, it'll only be okay because, of course, Enzo's an air worker and so is Cass. We know Jericho's great, we know Owens is great, but they're not with the best there, really. They're with a great team there, but not great individuals. So this should be a decent matchup, but in the end, I think it's fairly obvious again. Enzo and Cass are going over. I'm going to need my phone for the match listing. But Enzo and Cass are going over here. It just makes sense. They're building up for a tag team title shot, and it makes total sense for them to go over the the newly formed team of Jericho and Owens. Of course, chemistry is on the side of Enzo and Cass. Should Jericho break up after the matchup? I think they will, and maybe Owens will powerbomb Jericho on the apron, but they really, really shouldn't. They have great chemistry. I'd keep them together for a couple of months. Maybe they could feud with the New Day. I'm sure that would be an entertaining feud as well, but it seems like they might split them up. Well, Next we have The Miz versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. I have very little interest in this matchup. Who do I think will win? This is one of the harder ones because they've done nothing for it, and that suggests to me maybe that Miz will retain here. If Crews wins, I won't be truly shocked, and it won't be like a mark-out moment because he's been built poorly towards this matchup. But hey ho, if Crews wins, great for Apollo Crews. If Miz wins, great for The Miz. I'm going to go with The Miz though to win because there's been no build to Crews, and it should feel a bigger moment when Apollo Crews finally wins a title of any kind. Moving on, we have the New Day taking on Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the club. And when I talked about Enzo and Cass going for the tag titles after their win over Jericho, this is what I meant. They should be facing Gallows and Anderson, the heels. I finally think the reign of the New Day will end at SummerSlam, where it started last year, so over a year ago. And Gallows and Anderson have been booked very strongly going into this. They've dominated the New Day a lot through this feud, and I think that they should definitely be taking the tag titles here. And, I mean, Woods and Kofi, no Big E, means they can have a rematch and they can extend the program to Clash of Champions, the next pay-per-view, and the club can retain again, making them look strong to eventually feud with Enzo and Cass. So I think there's very logical booking here, and the club going over is not only logical, it'll be a cool moment for me as a fan of Gallows and Anderson's Japan work to see them finally hold WWE gold, especially for a guy like Luke Gallows, who wasn't given a fair run really ever in the company. It'll be cool for him to finally hold WWE gold. Another Raw match here, and there's a lot of Raw matches on this show. I believe the ratio is 6-4, which, I mean, it should probably be a little bit more even. Although there aren't many Raw, there isn't a Raw match on the show you could really sacrifice. Maybe Owens and Jericho, but you really need Owens and Jericho on the show, and Enzo and Cass too, so I don't know, maybe you could make a 4-way tag match for the titles. But anyway, Sasha Banks and Charlotte for the women's title. This is a very, very quick one to do. This will be a great matchup. Both women will look great, but Sasha Banks will I very, very strongly predict she'll retain. She had that fantastic moment on Raw where she won the belt, and they would not force her now to have a short reign. They have a lot of belief in Sasha. She's an attractive woman, and that's exactly what they like. And I would expect her to retain here. Not easily, obviously, but she will be making Charlotte tap to the Banks statement at SummerSlam. It'll be one of the matches of the show, I imagine, and I'm definitely looking forward to it a lot. Another Raw matchup, Roman Reigns against Rusev. This one was hard to predict until this Monday on Raw, actually, because I felt like this one was going to be very tough, and I felt like Reigns in the end would take the United States title. However, on Raw, with Roman Reigns beating Rusev, it seems to me like Rusev here, he might not win the match, but I think he will retain nevertheless. Either he gets disqualified, he gets counted out, or he just straight up beats Reigns. Now, I think him beating Reigns is highly unlikely, but it could still happen. I think it makes more sense to prolong the program to Clash of Champions, or maybe even Hell in a Cell. I think a cell match between the two could be really cool. But they should prolong the feud, and if they prolong it here by having Rusev get disqualified in the end, that would be fine. I know DQ finishes suck, but I think these two could have a very, very good matchup leading up to that DQ, and sometimes DQ finishes suck, but they don't ruin matches. Ask Kurt Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin from SummerSlam 2001 if their matchup was ruined by a DQ. No, it wasn't. So, yeah, I'm going to predict Rusev to retain. That'll be my prediction. Rusev retains the United States title. I'm not saying he wins, I'm not saying he loses, I'm saying he retains. John Cena versus AJ Styles. This is one of the most looked forward to matches on the show, and this should be great. This should be so great. This matchup to me is one of the matches on the show that could match any G1 Climax match, I hope. It's not going to be 5 stars, it's not going to be a Naito Omega match, it's not going to be Ishii Okada, it's not going to be Tanahashi Okada, it's not going to be a Goto or an Omega, but it should be like 4.5 stars if they can do it, and I really hope they do, because Styles has been on fire in his promos. Cena has had a good run since he returned against Styles. He's had a great match in Money in the Bank, had a very good match, a very good showing at Battleground. So I hope here these two men really, really put it on the line. Who's going to win? It seems like Cena's taking a vacation again. So AJ Styles beats him and sends him away for a bit. I think that's a perfect story, and it wraps the story up perfectly for now. If Cena wants to come back on a later date and beat him, that'd be totally fine. But AJ Styles here, I'm not saying he should beat him, and if I'm not one of the IWC, and I'm not, oh damn, if Styles loses, we riot. If Styles loses, I don't particularly care. because it's not expected. I mean, it's not. It's expected that Cena wins because Cena wins lol. But if Styles, I think, could win here quite strongly. So I'm predicting AJ Styles to win here, and he'll win clean with a Styles Clash in the middle of the ring. Moving on, we have the last 3 matches on the show, and God, this is a long show. Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I forgot what the belt was called there. And this should be a great matchup, 4-star matchup. They've built this match so well. The promos from these two men have been excellent. Dolph's Superkick on SmackDown was fantastic. And they've just really built this feud excellently. In the end, though, Dolph Ziggler should not beat Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose just proved that he is the superior member of the Shield. And the Shield are the 3 future stars in the company. Dolph Ziggler is 36. He doesn't need the world title at this very second. Now, what I'm saying is he doesn't need it at this very second as a babyface. So what you do is you have Dolph Ziggler lose, turn heel on Ambrose after the matchup, beat him up, and they have the feud continue at Backlash because it's only 3 weeks away. You can't set up a new title program going into a 3-week pay-per-view, even though WWE do it all the time, but you want a strong match going into your pay-per-view, especially with your main event. And if you want Dolph to win there, fine, but he shouldn't be beating Dean Ambrose here. If he beats him as a heel and Ambrose maybe does something wrong in the Backlash match and costs himself, that would be perfect because it would show his anger. But here, Dean Ambrose, clean, with a dirty deed. Ziggler to turn heel, please, is more of a want than a prediction, but Dean Ambrose to beat Dolph Ziggler. I would really like it if they did my spot, which I made up, of Dolph Ziggler superkick him in the first second and getting a near fall. I think that'd be a fantastic spot, and when I do see it, I am going to say I called it. Last 2 matches on the show. The first ever WWE Universal Champion will be crowned as Finn Balor takes on Seth Rollins. This should be a great matchup. Again, if there's a match on the show that's going to compete with G1 stuff, it will be this one. Well, this one and the Cena Styles match. These 2 guys are great. They're going to have a great matchup. But in the end, Seth Rollins cannot beat Finn Balor because it immediately says, haha, no, it's not the new era. It's the old era and same old shit. Because we're going to get Seth Rollins as a poor champion. And that wasn't his fault. He was booked poorly. He lost on TV to Ryback, to Dean Ambrose, to any number of superstars, and we don't want that. I've said this since Seth returned. I don't want Seth Rollins as a world champion heel again because they failed at it last time. He had one of the worst title reigns in a long time, and I just hope that they go with Balor, who's going to be debuting the Demon, and you don't want him losing as the Demon in his first pay-per-view match, his first big pay-per-view matchup. So Finn Balor to become the Universal Champion and bring in the new era because it makes total sense. And finally, the main event of the show, which I imagine will be the main event, the interpromotional match, Lesnar, Orton. This is very simple. Lesnar wins. Orton could not be beating Lesnar. The build from beating the streak cannot go to Randy Orton. It should go to a younger guy who can be built from it. A Reigns, an Ambrose, a Rollins, an Owens, a Samoa Joe apparently. Not Randy Orton. He doesn't need it. However, Orton should not be destroyed. He should hit an RKO. Brock should kick out. Brock should hit an F5. Orton should kick out. But in the end, Orton should go for the punt. Lesnar should counter. German F5. 1, 2, 3. Lesnar beats Randy Orton in the main event of SummerSlam. I'm looking forward to that matchup a lot more than most people, and I think it should be very, very good. And lastly, I do just want to say, countering a German into an RKO or an F5 into an RKO would be class. And those are my SummerSlam 2016 predictions, guys. Thanks for watching. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think of the SummerSlam card? I personally think it's the best pay-per-view card I've seen in a year. Better than WrestleMania card. Better than every WWE card this year, outside of maybe the NXT ones, but they're smaller cards, remember. As an 11-match card, there's, 5 matches here that can be great. With the main event, the Universal title match, the World title match, Styles Cena, the Women's match, Rusev Reigns. The rest of the stuff should be okay to good. But there's those 6 big matches that should be great, 4 stars and above, and this is one of the best SummerSlams ever. I think will come out of this event saying so. Here's hoping anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Wrestler. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Obviously, tell me your thoughts on the Summerslam card. Tell me which match you're most looking forward to. Tell me who you think will leave as the WWE World Champion. And what would you think to a Dolph Ziggler heel run? Personally, it's the best for business thing. Like, as a face, he's not particularly getting over, so he should turn heel. And he's a much better heel. And his gimmick fits a heel much more perfectly. Thanks for watching. This has been Raw Wrestler. And once again, like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'll be back on Sunday morning with my NXT Brooklyn review. Definitely looking forward to that. I hope you are. Thanks for watching, guys.